welcome to your real estate journey, expert tips for buyers and sellers. I am Dolly Lopez, your realtor and broker in the state of Florida and Kentucky. In this podcast, we provide you with every single advice in the finance industry. Well, most of it. And not only about real estate. And today I am joined by Rob. He's a financial advisor. Welcome, Rob. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad you're here, because today we're going to be talking about disability insurance and chronic care.
Wonderful.
What is disability insurance? Why is it so important for people to get disability insurance?
Dolly, that's a really good question. In fact, disability insurance is one of those things that's so important. The majority of employers will actually give it to you as a part of your benefit package. The problem I see is most people don't take the time to understand it. And so what disability insurance does is it provides you a percentage of your income if you're unable to work because of sickness or injury. And so when you get a job, you really need to look at the benefits, or if you already have a job, look at the benefits and figure out, one, what percentage of my income will it pay? When does it start? How long does it last? And what is their definition of disability?
Good. So how many disability insurance can someone have? Is it just one or different?
Great question. So you can actually stack disability insurance contracts, but you can no insurance company will ever pay you 100% of your income, because that's your incentive to go back to work. So typically what will happen is your employer will give you 60% of your income, and they'll usually have some type of monthly max. So for round numbers, let's talk about $100,000 of income. If you made $100,000 of income on a monthly basis, that's $8,333 pre-tax. With disability insurance, 60% of 100,000 is 60,000. 60,000 divided by 12 is 5,000. So instantly, if you get hurt or you're sick and you can't go to work, you go from $8,300 per month to 5,000. Well, because the employer is giving it to you, it's taxable. So you're really closer to 4,000 after tax. Well, if you bought an individual disability policy, it'll supplement that 4,000 and get you closer to that 8,000. But as I mentioned, you'll never have 100% of your income because they want you to come back to work.
Gotcha. And that makes sense. And it's very important, because if you get sick, your bills are going to continue. Your mortgage payment is going to continue. So having this type of disability insurance, which I do have, Rob actually was the one who has helped me with my insurance policies. And I'm so glad that he pushed for that. Not push, but you taught me about disability insurance, because I didn't know.
Yeah, and actually, the vast majority of people are never excited to talk about disability insurance. So it's a natural conversation to learn about it and hope you never use it.
Exactly. I see it as a insurance for your car payment. Your car insurance, actually, just because hopefully you never use it. But if something were to happen, you have it. So when I was pregnant with my twins, I couldn't barely walk. It was such a horrible time. I'm sorry for all of you all that are pregnant, but for me, it was really difficult. And I had to get disability insurance. And I'm glad that I had it there to have it as support. And I'm glad that Rob actually helped me through the entire process. So thank you, Rob, publicly. So what is it to look out for whenever you're taking out a disability insurance?
Yeah, so there's a really big thing to look out for when you're securing a disability contract, and it's the definition of disability. And so in the industry, there are different terms to look out for. One is own occupation compared to any occupation. And a good way to think about that is, you know what you're doing in your job. That is your own occupation. You want the language of your disability contract to be flexible around that occupation, not any occupation. And so what that means is, if you get sick, hurt, can't work, you want the company to say, okay, you know what, Dolly, you can't do your job, and as a result of that, we're going to pay you a benefit. Versus, you can't do your job, but you can do all of these other jobs. You have to go retrain and go do all those other things. And believe it or not, those definitions are buried in contracts if you don't pay attention.
I haven't even looked at mine out to see what it says, but I got you for that.
Yep, exactly. And so if you remember, when we went through that experience, there wasn't a question of, hey, what can you do outside of real estate? It was, hey, I can't do real estate. So that's the conversation you really want to be having. what's interesting, you kind of touched on something earlier. In America, it's interesting because if you get hurt or you get sick, it costs money to get better.
It
And
does.
oftentimes people don't think about that, right? You think, ah, well, I'll cut out this expense, I'll cut out that expense. You can't cut enough expenses if you get hurt and you can't work to make your monthly budget work. And so that's where disability insurance can be very, very crucial, especially in keeping your house. There's a lot of studies out there that show that a very large percentage of people who have to lose their home through foreclosure is because of a sickness or an injury and an income stoppage. So we want to make sure, hey, you've worked really hard to find this dream home. Once you have it, we got to protect it. And disability insurance is one of those things to do that.
So let's say, Rob, that we already have disability insurance and something were to happen. So how does it work? Like, how does the disability insurance work?
Great question. So the moment that you have an incident where you can't work or you're sick, you got to talk to the person that you worked with to get the policy in place. Now, whether that's me or someone else, pick up the phone, shoot an email. Hey, something has happened. We need to start some paperwork. And so there's a claim kit that will come out where you need to say, hey, if you're a business owner, this is how much money I made last year. This is how much money I made this year. And this is what my illness or injury is preventing me from doing. Because what a claims analyst is going to look at is they're going to say, hey, can you still generate the revenue you were generating before? If not, the policy is there designed to make you whole. So if you can only do 50% of your job, the claims analyst will probably pay you 50% of the benefit. So that way your bills and expenses are met. If you can't do 80% of your job, they're going to say, you know what, you're probably totally disabled, and they'll pay you 100% of the benefit.
Got it. Okay. So that's actually what happened to me. I was like, I couldn't do anything. It was a hard time, I remember. But guys, whenever we're talking about disability insurance, once again, hopefully you don't need it ever. But if you do, how are you going to keep making your monthly payments? How are you going to protect your home? How are you going to continue paying for the tuitions for school, for insurance, car insurance, home insurance, like anything? You still have to continue to pay. And it's really difficult. I have been there myself. And during that time that I was pregnant with my twins, it was awful. It was trying to I've never seen myself in that situation, but I couldn't even think straight. I just needed to be laying down because I couldn't do anything. Anyways, if you
you're exactly right. And that's where disability insurance can be really, really helpful, is it allows you to focus on getting better versus stressing about finances.
Exactly. And I stress about finance a little bit because I didn't know. I didn't even file on time. I had forgotten about that insurance. And then we went through the process and whatnot, and we know how it ended up. So, but I'm glad that I had it. So thank you for that. What would you suggest? What would you, as a financial advisor, suggest everyone that's watching and they don't have disability insurance? And I know it's going to be get it, but truly, your personal experience. We were talking about before we came in the podcast. What do you have? What do I have? Is it all, are our assets protected? Are our kids protected? So in this realm of things, what do you suggest people who are watching our video right now? What should they do?
So with disability insurance, I always tell people we need to get as much as you can qualify for, because no insurance company is going to over-insure you, right? There's always this fallacy of I'm worth more if I get sick or hurt. Not the case, right? So one, find out how much can you get and what the cost of that is. If you can afford it, great. Let's get that. But if not, we can start pulling some levers inside of the contract to make it more affordable, right? Maybe we reduce an inflation rider, or maybe we take away the ability to buy more in the future. You really want the biggest pool possible, because if you ever need it, you're really, really going to benefit from having that money. On average, you should expect disability insurance to cost about 2% of your gross income. So whatever your gross income is, multiply it times 2%. Ballpark, that's about what the premium is going to be. So conceptually, you can think about, hey, would I rather have a job that pays me 100% of my income while I'm healthy, but the moment I'm sick, it drops to 60% or nothing, or a job that I get 98% while I'm healthy, but if I get sick or hurt, that income might fall to 87 or 88%. So it's a good way to think about building that program.
Yeah. No, I never saw it that way, but yes. And is it 2%? Because I don't think I'm paying much for it. I don't know how much I'm paying, but I don't think it's that much.
It's probably close
I
to
guess
about 2% of your gross income. Now, of course, being in real estate, you'll have years where it's high and when it's low, but on average, it'd be around 2%.
good. Rob, thank you so much. I enjoy having you on board because there's so much that people don't know and that I learn as I go as well. So thank you for joining me. And we're going to be seeing you guys next week with more episodes. And then Rob is going to probably come to see us at least once in a quarter or twice a quarter to keep us updated on the finance world. So thank you, Rob. Thank you, guys. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah.